Hello and welcome to Sleepers Media, the YouTube channel. We're back. It's been, I think, about 2 weeks. It's been a while. Are you cracking a seltzer right now?
No, I'm cracking it's a Zoa energy drink.
That looked like a seltzer. I got very, very scared for your well-being. It's 11:48 a.m. on a Wednesday, and we have somehow carved out time to do this again. It's been difficult to do. How was that? That didn't look very good.
Oh, it's very good. It's actually Dwayne Johnson, the Rock's like energy drink. It's pretty damn good. I'm also like very impressionable. I don't know if you know that. So like
Yes.
I see the Rock do something. The Rock's big, he lifts a lot. I'm gonna do that. If I see my favorite like the phrase, like if you saw your favorite person jump off a bridge, would you do it too? I might if that person is that high up in my life. I'm that impressionable. So I tried these out. I saw him drinking it on his TikTok. I was like, shit, let me give it a try. It's pretty good.
I give you a lot of credit for being self-aware in that. You are very impressionable. Yeah, do you actually like that, or is this just kind of like a shtick? Like you want to be like The Rock?
What do you mean?
I feel like it's just a little bit of a shtick. Like you're just drinking The Rock's energy drink.
No, like one day it's gonna happen. I'm gonna be a stunt double for The Rock.
I don't know that that is going to happen, but dream big. That's okay.
All I'm missing is PEDs.
I mean, I think there's a few other things you're missing, but that's for another day. We have a lot of topics to get into today, my friend. I'm on my second large iced coffee from a local coffee spot, Water Street Coffee. Shout out Water Street Coffee.
Why is your iced coffee in a hot coffee cup?
It's not a hot coffee cup. It's just their very nice branded cups that are actually very fun to hold. I like the texture here.
Yeah,
Pause.
but the texture of that cup is because it's for hot coffee. Usually, iced coffees come in
Well,
plastic cup. Like,
it's fun to hold. Okay. That's what I'm
all
saying. I'm
right,
wearing a Duke shirt. Clearly, we haven't done this in a while because we just spent 3 minutes talking about bullshit. We did say off camera. I'll say it on camera too. I miss you, my friend. I miss you. It's been a while. We're golfing together this weekend. We should also throw that out there. I don't think there's going to be any content around that, but
there might be something.
you've been saying that you hate golf and you're never golfing again, and now you and I have a tee time.
Yeah, well, my friendship and love for you extends my hate for golf and the yips that I have.
You're a mental midget on the course right now. Like it
Oh
just
yeah,
is what it is.
yeah, mental Muggsy Bogues on the course. It's
Like
it's, un, it's
Markel Fultz with a 3-wood.
Darion Trammell with a pitching wedge.
Hey, he made a national championship game. You can bounce back. All right, we're here to talk about Michigan today, though, and a lot of other things. Check the channel. We're going to get through 5 videos today, but the first of which is a rant I have about Michigan that I think can also open the door to you to get some jokes in and continue slaying Michigan here. Everybody knows this, Cart. Michigan was bad at college basketball this year. They were a bad basketball team. That's undeniable. They missed the tournament. They flamed out in the NIT. There's a bunch of reasons for that. Also true, Cart. Don't know if you know this. Michigan just had 2 players drafted in the top 15 picks in the NBA draft. They also had 1 player essentially get more money than any other player in college basketball in the transfer portal to go to Kansas. Both of those things happened. Michigan was a bad basketball team. 2 guys went to the NBA. 1 guy got paid, went to Kansas. All those things happened in the last 6 months. There's a lot of narrative. It's not even narrative. It's just fact. But there's a lot of tweets and commentary on LOL, Michigan had 2 top 15 picks and missed the tournament. I would like to throw it to you first before I say my piece on that, but that is true. Would you like to say anything about that situation, my friend?
The only thing I would like to say about the situation that is if the mascot uniform was on the other body or the shoes on the other foot, whatever phrase you want to use, I feel like that narrative will be pushed from the other fan base. So, in a sense, I understand it. I mean, it's like you said, it is a fact. But at the same time, you can't deny that it is impressive that you were able to produce, and I use the word produce in this case. I'll use it with Jet. I do want to bump back a little bit on the Kobe Buffkin produced train because Kobe Buffkin was a McDonald's All-American coming in. Me and you were actually pretty high on Kobe Buffkin, but yes, he did get better and did get put in a better position in that second year, whether it be because, one, he got extremely better. I know the strength and conditioning coach Sanderson said a lot about Kobe Buffkin and how he's one of the hardest workers and biggest improvers in his time at Michigan, but he was a highly talented McDonald's All-American type kid. But with injuries and him getting better, he was able to showcase himself a little bit more. But the fact of the matter is, saying that you had Hunter Dickinson and 2 lottery picks and missed the tournament is a fact. And to me, that is something that should be held against you. But you should also at the same time be able to recognize that it is impressive that he, produced 2 lottery picks. I don't know if we want to go back to other times of Michigan State, but there was a time where you said we had a team with Jaron and Redacted and Cassius and all these other guys. And, we lost in the first round to Syracuse, and narratives were pushed by some. I'm not saying you might have pushed those narratives, but they were pushed by others. So, whether it be because it's a rivalry or because it's facts, I think I laid out the facts, but also I don't think you can get mad at folks from Michigan State saying that narrative because it is facts.
Yes, that's all fair. I would also just note the guys around that trio you just mentioned of Jaron, Redacted, and Cassius Winston included Josh Langford, who was a McDonald's All-American, Xavier Tillman, who was a future pro. The 4th best player on that team was not Terrence Williams, which is where I come in with all of this. Listen, you can get your jokes off. 100%. Get your jokes off. I'm fine with it. You should get your jokes off. I'm speaking directly to Michigan State fans. And honestly, I think there's a lot of national people like Kevin Sweeney. We love Kevin Sweeney. But like Kevin Sweeney was the first person to tweet, LOL, Juwan really had 2 green room guys and missed the tournament. Like, okay, get your jokes off. Everybody go ahead.
It is
everybody go ahead and get your jokes off. This is my problem, though. It's the wrong criticism of Juwan Howard to frame it that way. Like, I think I've loudly said, I think Juwan's going to end up getting fired soon. I'm not a huge fan of his. I don't want him to be the coach ever since the Greg Gard incident. I've said that. Like, I feel strongly about all of that. There's a lot of things I don't like about Juwan Howard. I get it's a joke, but framing it as Juwan underachieved with Kobe Buffkin and Jet Howard is just the wrong criticism to me because Kobe and Jet had very little to do with how bad this team was. Kobe and Jet were pretty close to as good as those 2 guys could possibly be. And I get Jet Howard's a total negative on defense. He's always going to be a total negative on defense. He was just the 11th pick in a draft, despite how horrible he is on defense and rebounding. And he was prolific offensively at Michigan. That's all Jet is. There is no coach on earth. If I'm wrong, one day I'll admit I'm wrong.
Let's relax with the prolific word.
He was very good until the
he was. I just don't. The prolific really word. The prolific word doesn't sit right with me. But go ahead.
Was he? I think he was pretty undoubtedly a top 3 shooter guy in college basketball, right? It was him, Dick, and Hawkins. It was him, Dick, and Hawkins.
Yeah,
that's prolific. Those guys are all prolific offensive guys. That's all Jet does.
Prolific shooter.
That's all Jet does. He does nothing else. I'm saying that, okay? But that still is maximizing Jet Howard. And listen, Jet Howard and Kobe Buffkin, and you can throw Hunter Dickinson in there, obviously could have been on a winning basketball team. The outputs he got from those 3 guys last year were good enough to be on a winning basketball team. Michigan was not a bad basketball team because of anything those 3 guys did. And I get it. Yes, they were worse with Jet Howard on the floor, the defense stuff, all that's true. He was still their 3rd best player and a winning basketball player. A winning team could win with Jet Howard. They were horrendous because 4 through 8 were unplayable. There was not a guy on the Michigan team that deserved minutes anywhere other than maybe Doug McDaniel, who was thrown into the fire and was really chaotically awful much of the season. Harris, I get we can pick out guys and be
because I hear a lot about. Me and you personally are pretty high on what Terrace could be throughout his
long term. There's a massive learning curve for guys who are expected to come in and be 5-minute a game backups. Doug was supposed to play 8 minutes last year and back up Llewellyn. Llewellyn stunk and got hurt. Terrace Reed was supposed to play 8 minutes a game last year and back up Hunter Dickinson. At the end of the year, he had to play 24 minutes a game because no one could play the 4. And those guys did okay. I'm not sitting here saying I think Doug's horrible or Terrace Reed is horrible. but those guys were not good enough to be on a winning team in the roles they needed to play. They just weren't. So if we're going to point fingers, point them all at Juwan Howard. You should point them all at Juwan Howard. This is Juwan Howard's fault. He built a horrible roster, but the criticism is different than he had 2 lottery picks and they stunk. So none of that's the bad part. The bad part is he had Terrence Williams.
So you can end the sentence at Juwan underachieved. You're upset with what comes after the unachieved part of the sentence. So if I said Juwan Howard unachieved, come on now, Carter. Juwan underachieved because he didn't have enough talent around the 3, around the 2 lottery picks and Hunter Dickinson. Not he underachieved because he had them. Is that?
I just like
that's tomato. That's tomato.
I think there are situations where the criticism of he had all this talent and they underachieved is a thing. I genuinely don't really think that makes sense here at Michigan. I still think they could have made the tournament last year. Yes, like obviously they were worse than I think they could have been. All of that can be true. But like, I just think it inherently implies when you say he had the lottery picks and missed the tournament, they're like, Michigan should have been a really good team. They should not have been a really good team when they need Terrence Williams to play 30 minutes a game. Like, I'm telling you as someone that watched every minute of this miserable basketball team, they were awful because Will Cheddar was starting games down the stretch for them. Like,
you're not on the Cheddar train?
They had 3 good players, Cart. This isn't 3-on-3. I'm telling you, it's 5-on-5, and you need like 8 players. You need 7 players.
That team had enough to be an NCAA tournament team.
Yes, barely though. Like
they had enough to be an NCAA tournament team.
But that's like, it's marginal, is what I'm saying. Like where they were at in KenPom ranks, Cart. Like there were teams right around them that did make the tournament.
Don't bring that name up on here.
Okay, I'm sorry. You have a gripe with KenPom, but like the point is, like, caliber wise, they were a bubble team. Whether they made it or not, like they played like a bubble team the whole season. It is what it is. They missed the tournament. I don't think a bubble team is far off from what the team should have been when Terrence Williams was their 4th best player. It's that bad. And that's, again, all on Juwan Howard. Horrible roster building. Horrible choice to go after Llewellyn. Horrible, like, flyers on Yusuf Kayat. Horrible that he had Isaiah Barnes, Greg Glenn. Like, he built an entire bench of unplayable guys. That's his fault, and that's why the team was bad. But it has nothing to do with Kobe Buffkin or Jett Howard's seasons. Those guys were basically as good as they possibly could have been. In fact, it's bad for the Michigan program that those guys were so good. Because you know what I'd love to have? I'd love to have Kobe Buffkin back for his junior year because he's not good enough to go to the NBA. How nice, how much of a luxury is it for you that Jaden Akins is coming back? How nice would it be if I could get year 2 of Jett Howard? Maybe Michigan's problems would be solved a lot by that. So,
do you think Kobe would have came back though if he was coming? Because I guess this isn't the topic of the video we're talking about, but the reason Jaden Akins is coming back, I think a big part of it that we talked about on past episodes is the selling him the dream of being a part of a team that's national championship caliber. Why would Kobe want? I know Kobe, obviously Kobe lottery pick. There's, what's the difference between, even though in next year's draft class, like you could make an argument that Kobe Buffkin could find his way into the top 5. I think that class is that weak. And that's not necessarily a slight to Kobe Buffkin, but I think like he could be one of the best players, and he's obviously one of the younger players that was even in this draft in general. So if there was a case where, let's say things lined up as far as team success, NIL, all that stuff, Kobe would come back.
Yeah, I think when you're talking a guy that knows he's going to get picked in the top 15, that's just all irrelevant in this day and age. Like I don't think there are players who would get picked lottery or right at the lottery cutoff that would come back to maybe go top 5, whether or not the team was great. I just don't. Like, I think if Jaden Akins could be taken 15th, I think he's gone. So, and I'm not doing the like, oh, one guy's better than the other here as a coach. I wish Juwan Howard wasn't putting guys in the pros. It's a large part of why this team is so bad. Like, selfishly, I want more Jett Howard. I want more Kobe Buffkin. I want more all these dudes. But as a rival fan or just a fan of the sport, or if you work for Sports Illustrated, I just wish you were criticizing the right elements of this, because there's a lot that you should say Juwan Howard's awful at. Kobe Buffkin and Jet Howard are not part of any of the issues of Juwan Howard's tenure at Michigan. And that's my take, Cart. So take it.
So you're saying that Juwan got the most out of those guys?
Yes. And there's going to be a lot of people who say Jet was so horrible defensively. How can you say he got the most out of him? I'm telling you right now, I don't think there's a coach on earth that could get Jet Howard to be better defensively.
Got most of, yeah, but it's just, I think it's hard to say that while also that, yes, he got the most out of those guys, but the fact that that didn't lead to much team success just.
But that's, again, it's like, I need to think of a good metaphor. It's like blaming, if you have a group project in college and you got one guy who does all of it, and then you get like a C. And it's like, well, that guy sucked. No, that guy did all the work and crushed his portion of it. The problem is he had 3 guys that were in the group that contributed absolutely zero. That was Michigan basketball last year. And there was toxicity elements of, like, I think they all hate each other, which is largely on Hunter Dickinson. Again, nothing on Kobe and Jet here at all. Those guys were good. That's why they just got taken 11th and 15th. Like, I don't see, it doesn't have to be one or the other here. It doesn't have to be what a massive disappointment specific to those 2 guys. Those guys were awesome. I wish they were on a better team. Like, I wish they were with a good point guard. I wish they had fucking, I don't know, Brandon Johns. I wish Musa Diabate came back. Like, if you just put anybody who was playable around those guys, they probably are a tournament team. But, like, Terrence Williams might not be in Michigan's rotation next year. They just went out and recruited 3 different guys to play over Terrence Williams because that's how bad they knew he was last year. And he was their 4th best player, Cart. He played 27 minutes a game. So
it's good. Yeah, that's good. It's crazy when you think about, like, they chose those guys over, and, you know, for all the slander Brandon Johns got, like, Brandon Johns is better than Will Cheddar.
Dog, just let, like, and again, this is on Juwan Howard, but what if Frankie Collins as a sophomore was the starting point guard on this team? Like, probably solid, at least, right? Definitely a lot better than Llewellyn and Doug for 2 months of the season. So, like, I wish the loud criticisms and the laughing were at the right parts, because there's so much to criticize Juwan Howard for. I can't process, like, you had Kobe Buffkin and the team was bad. Kobe was fucking awesome. Kobe wasn't even on a draft board in December, and he just got taken 15th because of how good he was at Michigan. That's not Juwan Howard's fault. Like, Juwan Howard's fault is he built the roster that needed Terrence Williams to play minutes, and he was horrible, and the bench was non-existent. So it is what it is. I get it. Jokes are going to be made. I'm not saying I'm above them. I probably would make them, but, like,
you would make them.
Criticize the right things, folks. That's all I'm saying. Any final words on Michigan?
Can I just get one last quick, like, post check on where you're at with this Michigan team? Because I guess since the last time we talked, it's taken a little bit more. Oh, has it taken more form? Well, at least the Antonio Reeves saga. I know we're going to touch on that in another video, but where are you at with this Michigan team?
I mean, I don't think they're going to be good.
How many do you have any open scholarships still right now?
Yeah, they got 2 left.
2 left?
And
okay.
I've heard mixed things on what they're trying to do with them. Obviously, they were trying to get Reeves. They were after Mulcahy. Now, apparently, Martelli gave a quote that he doesn't expect them to be filled, which seems kind of odd to me. But I guess if they don't like anybody in the portal right now, then I don't know. Maybe they learned their lesson from going after European dudes. So,
we're okay with leaving open scholarships now.
Well, the difference here would be Michigan tried and failed. I'm not saying that's better, but I think Michigan's trying to use their scholarships. They just stink at building a roster. Yeah. I don't know. Is it fair to say, like, I can expect they're going to be really bad, and at the same time, I'm also kind of looking forward to a season with no expectations?
No, I'm not really mad at that, because that's kind of how I'm looking at Michigan State football this year.
Yeah,
somewhat.
And I think there are a lot of comparisons between Juwan and Mel Tucker. I think, like, obviously Juwan has had more success with his teams. Mel had, I mean, they both had one good year at least.
Mhm.
Juwan's had, I think, a couple good years instead of one good year, but I think there are a lot of similarities, and the trajectory is obviously not good. But I don't know. I just think like the only year of Juwan Howard's tenure that they had no expectations, they overachieved and were pretty damn good.
Yeah,
So we'll
two
see.
totally different situations too. Like I mean, we've already talked about like Jawan and the restrictions that he has because of Michigan basketball and NIL and all that stuff, how it works.
Yeah.
At least like Mel's trajectory right now is he's just like, all right, I'm gonna just use this NIL, use all this money and try to get all these recruits and stuff like that. So actually got some momentum going through. But at the same time, we talk about how in college basketball you want to be old and you want to win. You do have old guys.
Well, that's the thing is like I actually think Michigan has done a lot right with their offseason this year. They're just missing the big piece. Like if had they gotten Antonio Reeves, I would give this offseason like an A+ from Juwan Howard, but they didn't. And there's not going to be another Antonio Reeves that walks through the door. But like I really like Namari Burnett as an ad. I really like Kamwa as an ad. Not only did they get Kamwa, they got a backup for Kamwa so that hopefully Terrence Williams isn't in the rotation in Trey Jackson. Like they have, I think, rightfully assessed all of the issues in a way they haven't done the last 2 years. They just have failed to get the big fish who can score like 20 points a game. So
if Kobe would have came back, that lineup would have been fun.
yeah, if you would have put either Kobe or Jet back in the middle of this, I think you really like the group. But
yeah,
is what it is. So he's literally putting too many guys in the league too quickly at the same time his regular seasons are bad. So
but
it's a bad cycle to be in.
One little shiny moment that might happen for you is like the transfer portal is not even close to being a finished product right now. Like there's guys taking summer classes. There's got like every big college basketball person guy that we talk to is like just like wait until August.
Jelly Fam
like,
JQ.
Yeah.
And I think I genuinely
even though I heard he's getting the Memphis bag.
For sure. I do genuinely think like this is why Reeves was rumored to Michigan, but like Michigan has a pretty damn good sell. Like they replaced Jed Howard with nobody and they replaced Kobe Buffkin with Namari Burnett. Like if you are a dude who thinks you could make the NBA, Michigan has a pretty featured spot open for that. But we'll have to see what happens. Anyways, just again, final words. Please just criticize the right things. There's so much to criticize him for. Just criticize the right things. That's all I ask.
But
Thank
criticize. You. That's the main thing. Criticize.